Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the build. We are now on part 6 of our Enterprise 1350 refit build, and we're focusing on the nacelles this week, so let's get right into it. Be back in a second. Alright guys, so over the weekend I was doing a bunch of light testing on my nacelles for the grills mainly. I also stripped the paint off these. I didn't like them, so I'm going to repaint them. Anyways, I didn't like how little light I was getting into the grills proper, so I went back and I repainted the inside with a white, and then I gave it a gloss coat. I also painted up our strips in this transparent purple. Both of these guys are painted in that purple. And then I went and I painted these. These are just cardstock. It's just a test right here to see what exactly it looked like. And I think I'm at the level of glow in the nacelles that I actually like. So let me get this all wired up and show you what we're dealing with. Be back in a second. So I have the two nacelle halves together here, and let's just click this over all the way up. That is about what it'll look like. The camera is blowing it out slightly. It's darker in tone in person, but that's what I want. So any variations in the tone you're seeing are from tape. Got tape right there. I got tape right back there, and I didn't measure this correctly. I didn't measure it at all. This is just a test piece I put in here, the cardstock, but you can definitely see that's where it ends. So the normal purple is kind of almost a violet, a washed out purple, and then we put this card in and it gets more in line with the color that I am wanting for my nacelles. So yeah, looking pretty nice there. So I need to get that installed along with some other lights. I'll be back in a second with the beauty light up front. We'll go into what we did there, or what we're doing there. Be back in a second. Okay, so I'm working on the outboard light for our nacelle grills here. The beauty light that is just right there. I took my kit supplied piece, and well, the first thing I did is I roughed it up with some 320 grit, went back over, smoothed it with some I think it's 800 grit to just make it a little bit more diffuse. That wasn't enough, so I took some very thin styrene, took the kit supplied piece, drew myself a template, and just cut out a couple of half moon shapes and put those in there to help diffuse the light even better. Then I mounted in my amber, put that over this, and I mounted it like right about there. And over that, I built myself a little light box. I used some more of this. Here's a template. I actually have this cut for the other side, and that will go on the other side here, right about there, right about like that. So I super hot glued that in there, and of course I ran my wires. You can see they're coming out here and here. Here's the two sets. So I'm actually gonna hook this up to my 12-volt adapter, and we'll take a look and see exactly what that looks like right there. Okay guys, I have it hooked up into my 12-volt adapter, so let's kick up my potentiometer, and that is what it'll look like. It is sourcey. It was worse before I added the layers. There's kind of an inconsistency in this light. There's an inconsistency. Sometimes it looks sourcey, sometimes it looks glowy to me. It's a shot for shot thing, and there's so many variables, who knows why that is. I kind of like the sunburst. And this is exactly what it looks like in a couple of the pictures to me. It's not like a super hot hotspot, but it does have a gradient that goes up and down either side of this. And it does have a nice sunburst in the middle, and I really like that. And it does, even in this overlit room, you can see there's a little light spot there on the grill. So it will light up the grill. And that's what it is in the motion picture. It's just a little light that's on the edge of the nacelle. Now, I could have, and actually, I might want to replace that. I don't know. I don't know what I think. I don't mind the sunburst pattern. It's that little dot of light I don't know if I like. It looks to me more like in the motion picture it's cascading down the grill there. So I don't know how I feel about that. I'm gonna have to look at it in some very low or no light and see if I don't get the cascade. I might just tear that little puppy out of there and think about something new. But I do like the sunburst effect. I think that looks cool. You can kind of see it cascading there, but it cascaded more down the grill in the motion picture to my eyes. I do kind of like how that looks, and it might just be mounting placement. I might just have to place it somewhere else. I could cut this post entirely off and post it or mount it where the post is. That would actually probably be better, and then I could extend. Also, to paint this black, but I could also extend. If I did that, I could extend my light box back here. But I don't want to do that. I want the stability that this will bring to the front half of the nacelle, so I want to keep that in place. I might replace that LED with an SMD. And since I have one right here that is not fully assembled, maybe what I'll do is I'll take one of my little 0402 SMDs, mount that up here, and see how that looks on there. It's going to be a little dimmer because it's a smaller bulb. It's not going to be amber, but I can paint it. So maybe, just maybe, where did all my bulbs go? Did they all fall on the floor? They all fell on the floor. That's good. That's a great way to treat all your tiny electronics, dude. These little guys. Yeah, maybe that would actually look better than that amber, that big old 2mm. Again, I don't mind the sunburst. I just don't, I want it to cascade. I want to put this on the right side of the LED. There you go. See, it's a smaller light, so I'd be getting less light, and I can actually mount it in, because it's a surface mounted diode. You can mount it in several places in here. So I'm going to have to do some testing with these guys, see how I feel about the old sunbursty LED here. So I'll have a think on that. I'll be back in a second. Alright guys, I got a bunch of the lights installed. I got our strips installed. We have, let's see here. We have our blinkers installed. We have these installed. And those lines are going out here. Unfortunately, I failed to notice that these ends would be visible, so we have a little bit more putty work to do. It's not such a bad thing that they're on here. And right there, we got that to putty too. It's not such a bad thing. I can putty those up when I putty and everything back here. Everything back here is going to need it. This edge is going to need it. This edge is going to need it. So might as well get that all done at the same time. There's our light strip. Wires hanging everywhere. And yeah, I think I showed this bulb before, and then this bulb up here. So we have, let's see here. We've got these to tie in to this bulb, which is lighting up our grill there, and then into here, and then the opposing side ones we'll have to also put in there. I was going to put our little blue crystal bulbs I was going to connect that to this, but, well, actually, I did connect that to this. I connected these together, and I really didn't like the light I was getting out of here because it was chained in at the end here, and it was hitting all these resistors. So we were getting more resistance or something. I don't know, it wasn't as bright as I wanted. It was also cutting in and out. So we're just going to connect this separately. We'll just put it in our little holder and put it right up in there. I did put these guys on, mask them off, put them on. I made sure to assemble both halves. I put some model glue in here and I assembled both halves to make sure these were in the correct place before they dried all fun. I didn't want them to dry at a weird angle or anything. Still, but we won't have to putty that because I think the bezel of the light little crystal will be around that. Of course, we haven't really done anything on the outside because, well, we don't need to yet. So that is where we are with those. My grills are in paint. I'm putting a bunch of coats on those to make sure they are nice and light blocked. But when they get out of paint and when I'm ready to install them, I'll show you what that looks like. We're also going to install our little cardstock pieces on the back side of those. We're just going to be using a little bit of, I think some Elmer's glue. Hopefully that'll hold that in. So yeah, that is where we're at the moment. I'm going to have to put these lights in up here. I forgot about these guys. So I'm going to put those lights in there, put another coat of paint on my grills, and wait for those things to dry. So we'll be back when we've got more to show. Alright guys, I have my last beauty light. I just installed that and added some light blocking paint to that. So I'm waiting for that to dry. That's kind of the mantra of this evening, waiting to dry. Paint and glue. I got my crystals, my warp crystals installed up here on both halves. And also waiting for that glue to dry before I go in there and add a little bit of black paint to the back side of that. But one thing I want to point out about this kit is look at all that nice room you have for your lights and wires. This thing is cavernous. I love it. Especially compared to the 1537. You have to really get your lights in there. You really have to engineer how you're going to get your lights into that thing. This thing is just, I could add 20 more lights to this stupid thing and still have room left over. I love it. And that'll be in stark contrast to the secondary hull, which we'll be dealing with next week. I am still waiting for my grills to dry. They have some black paint. They have 3 coats of black paint on them. Paint on them. I'm going to put at least one more on there before we get those installed. I also want to give them a couple of days to dry completely and cure and all that neat stuff. And I think that's it for assembly. We just have to get our grills in and then slap these two halves together. Of course, I will be testing each and every one of my lights before that happens, just to be on the safe side. And then we'll get these two together and we'll light them up, see what they look like with all the lights on. Have to keep in mind we've got 3 circuits in here, so we're going to have to get all of our lights into their proper position. We have, this is our RTS thrusters that will go into our, let's see here, here's our beauty lights. Those will be going into our beauty lights. Also our, I guess, nacelle grill light. This light here, that's right here. So those 3 we can connect together. We can connect the blue crystal up here and our engines, which I braided off just to separate them. So we'll get those and these 2 together. And then our 3rd circuit is, of course, our flasher up here, which will be completely separate. So those are the 3 sets of wires we will have going out of the nacelle. I'll be fixing the old spaghetti here when we consolidate all of our lights to their proper place. And I'll just have 3 short wires hanging out here because this is the opposite side. This is where your neck goes into place, and I really do love the 3 gigantic pegs they have for that. So we'll have those three sets of wires going out of this hole right here. It's a pretty big one. The only, I guess, issue would be these beauty lights. We're going to have to tie them in after the fact, but that won't be such a big deal. We will be running lights up our pylon, or not lights, but we'll be running wires up our pylon, 3 separate sets up our pylon, which we will attach to these, and then any excess we can just kind of shove off up into that pylon or up into the nacelle. As you can see, we have plenty of room to get a little bit of excess wire into here. I just don't want them blocking our warp grails, which is kind of why I want, hoping to get them into the that little bit of excess into the pylon itself. I think that would be much better. So that is where we're going to call it for this week, you guys. Next week, as I said, getting these done as far as assembly is concerned. We still have to paint. That's going to be another fun thing we're going to have to do, paint. But assembly will be done. I want to get that done. I want to get some black primer over all of this. And then we'll be masking, of course, our grills off. I think that's the only thing we need to mask off, because I've already masked these off. See? They're masked off. And then the tops are masked off as well. And then we can start with our white. Get our first body color on here, which will just be a simple primer white for the moment. And then, of course, gloss over that. But I'm rambling. So I'm going to shut up. I'm going to thank you guys for watching. I'm going to thank all my old subs. I'm going to thank all my new subs. You guys are radical. And until next time, you guys take care.